This is Two Views Wrestling. Let's get into it.
Give me a hell yeah. What?
Champion versus champion matches were a thing that would happen back during the territory days, or as some people say, the good old days. Harley Race, as NWA champ, would have classic matches against WWF champions Bob Backlund and superstar Billy Graham. Recently, the WWE Vault YouTube channel posted that classic match from 1978 between Race and Graham. This is such a famous match that Mattel even made an action figure set to memorialize the battle. There was also a classic match between NWA champion Ric Flair and AWA champion Rick Martel. But it seems like once Vince McMahon Jr. took over from his father and was bent on world domination, we didn't get any more of those dream matches as companies didn't work together. Sure, Vince would give us this from time to time with brand champions, but it never felt as big as those territory days, seeing who was the true world champion. So, as a wrestling fan, all we have had for the last 30 or 40 so years is dream scenarios dancing in our head. With this episode, we want to take a look at some champion versus champion matches we wish we had seen. For the first match on the list, we are going back to the year 2000 as we pit a monster from the land of extreme against a monster that repped Ted Turner. Number 5, Mike Awesome versus Sid Vicious. Mike Awesome was a powerhouse as ECW World Champion, the same time Sid Vicious was the biggest guy at the company where the big boys play. There are going to be power bombs galore in this one. Sid was one of the most intimidating big men of the 1990s. Standing 6'9" and well over 300 pounds, he was a force to be reckoned with for everyone in WWE and WCW. He destroyed everyone with his powerbomb finisher. Mike Awesome stood 6'6" and was around 300 pounds and was way ahead of his time. He was a powerhouse that could lay waste to his opponents with the Awesome Bomb and also fly around the ring like a cruiserweight, almost like Bron Breakker is today. A clash between these two would have been pure anarchy. They would have to sound air raid sirens in the city, and all the citizens would have to seek shelter in the subway. Godzilla versus King Kong couldn't compete with these guys. This match would be full of choke slams, power bombs, smash tables, dives to the outside, and when the smoke cleared, who would be left standing? Vicious? Awesome? I would be surprised if the building was still standing. The next match on the list is a heated rivalry stemming from a comment about a t-shirt. Number 4, Kevin Steen versus CM Punk. Wrestling's worst nightmare versus the best in the world. Sounds like something from a comic book, doesn't it? In 2012, Steen was the Ring of Honor World Champion, and Punk held the prestigious WWE title. This matchup would have had everything: promos, intensity, real-life animosity, and a great fight once the bell rang. This would have been a great story. Steen is the brawler, the fighter. Punk is the wrestler, the technician. Punk would have tried to keep a grappling contest and outwork Steen. Steen would have been foaming at the mouth with hatred and trying to rip Punk's head off. Another aspect that makes this great is these two have a lot in common. They both worked their way up the indies, through ROH, and finally made it to the top of the mountain in WWE. Place no one ever thought either would make it to. I don't know who would have had their hand raised after this one, but I think after going to war and taking each other to the limit, there would be respect from both sides. The third match on our list features two guys that put on phenomenal bouts on both sides of the world. Number 3, Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles. This bout is going to steal the show on whatever card it is on. You could put it on Wrestle Kingdom, WrestleMania, December to Dismember. No one is going to be able to follow this one. And we expect nothing less with nicknames like the Phenomenal and the Best Bout Machine. In 2018, Kenny Omega was the IWGP champ and AJ Styles held the WWE title. What would have been cool about this match is not only do we get the champion versus champion aspect, but there is history behind this. When AJ Styles left TNA, he showed up in New Japan and quickly became the man. He would be the boss of the Bullet Club until he was kicked out by none other than Kenny Omega. So, both guys as champions, bad blood history, and both guys being regarded as the best wrestler in the world is a recipe for an all-time classic match. Tony Khan is drooling at the thought of getting this match on his show, and with AJ's future up in the air, there's a possibility we see this banger. The number 2 match on the list takes us back to 1992. It's a match that would bring us a lot of color, a lot of flash, flying elbows, and poison mist. Number 2, The Great Muta versus Macho Man Randy Savage. Once again, we are looking at the IWGP and WWE champions. We didn't get a lot of Macho Man in Japan, which is a shame. He could have put on some great matches over there. That fast pace and high-flying style would have got over huge in Japan. Savage with the right dance partner is a thing of beauty, and I think the Great Muta would be the right dance partner. Muta is a legend, and he earned that status in both Japan and the U.S., while in WCW he had classic battles with Flair, Sting, and Austin, just to name a few. In Japan, he had wars with Hase, Chono, and Vader. Savage is no slouch with his resume either. Classic encounters with Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, and Hulk Hogan cemented his spot on the GOAT list. This match would have gone down as a classic. First, they had a lot in common. They wore colorful, flashy gear, they were both in the NWO, and finally they had similar styles. Once the bell rang, we would have gotten a fast-paced, high-flying matchup. Would it be the elbow drop or the moonsault that would win out? I feel like it could come down to the deadly poison mist of the Great Muta. We all love our heroes, but sometimes they fight, and we hate having to pick sides. Batman versus Superman. Iron Man versus Captain America. Cat Williams versus Kevin Hart. Well, for our last match, we want to go back to 1986 and have 2 of the greatest heroes of all time lock horns. Number 1, Dusty Rhodes versus Hulk Hogan. These are 2 different types of heroes. Hulk Hogan was a living, breathing superhero that told kids to say their prayers, eat their vitamins, train, and they could reach their dreams. Dusty Rhodes was a hero for the blue-collar working man, guys that would work 12 hours at the factory, then go to the bar and throw a few back, kick some ass, and go home and be a loving husband and father. The crowd would have been split cheering for these 2 legends. The promos from these 2 leading up to the match would give you goosebumps and have you ready to run through a damn wall. The NWA Champion Dusty was like watching a poet on the mic. He had some of the greatest promos of all time. The Hulkster as WWE Champion was no slouch on the mic either. I think the perfect venue for this clash of the Titans would be the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. It was the home of WWE, but Dusty had drawn big there before with his matches against superstar Billy Graham in the 70s. The crowd would buzz with anticipation at the prospect of watching Zeus and Odin battle. These 2 were masters of storytelling and could hold the crowd in the palm of their hand. The crowd would explode with every look, finger wag, and wiggle of Dusty's ass. This match would make you feel every emotion there is, and they wouldn't need to use any Canadian destroyers or poison ranas. All you will get are punches, kicks, elbow drops, and leg drops, and it's all you need. I think this match would be a lot like The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. The crowd would start off siding with the Hulkster, but after seeing the fighting spirit and heart of the American dream, the crowd would be behind Big Dust by the end.
So a couple of your choices that stood out to me, the Kevin Steen and CM Punk one. Wrestling's worst nightmare faced the best in the world. That right there sounds money, and I would tune into a show not even caring or looking into the undercard, just looking forward to that top match, the main event with the storyline that could be told between those 2. For Mike Awesome, I like that he was getting some love. I've always felt like he was underrated after becoming an adult and looking into him, because as a kid I just was familiar with the WCW version of him. A question I had about that choice, though, was about Sid Vicious. Playing the new WWE game, Sid's a guy I like to use, and it made me go back a little bit and look at Sid Vicious, where I kind of view him as underrated maybe. And I just wanted to get your opinion on, as a kid, Sid was whatever to me. Kevin Nash was cool, but now as an adult, I kind of wonder Like, was Sid better than Kevin Nash?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, Sid was intense. You were scared of him when you were a kid. And I think that it's kind of hard to describe. I feel like Kevin Nash was like that kid when you were in high school, that he was cocky and he talked about like, oh, I'll kick that guy's ass, or I could kick that guy's ass, but you never actually seen him fight or do anything. Where I feel like Sid was that guy that, he drove his dad's old truck to school. He was always in like dirty jeans and, a work shirt, and you knew that guy kicked ass. And every once in a while he would kick ass just to show you. Yeah, Sid to me, he really came across as intimidating, and he was somebody you were like, oh my God, who is this? Like if you were flipping channels and landed on Sid, you'd want to see what that was about. And also, I feel like Sid had better matches. I think Kevin Nash, if he wasn't wrestling Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart, he wasn't having a good match. I think Sid, especially in WCW, I like the matches Sid had with Goldberg. Sid and Vader against Bulldog and Sting was good. So, yeah, I put Sid above Kevin Nash all time in terms of big men. And speaking of Mike Awesome, I'm looking for that Mike Awesome ECW action figure. If anybody has it, please comment and let me know.
Another one that stood out to me for a very interesting reason is sometimes you can be a world champ and you're not actually the best in the world. And, that's what there's this debate on, like, oh, which company actually has the best world champion? Which one's the best wrestler in the world? AJ Styles and Kenny Omega, not only were these guys world champions, they were the two guys that were the best in the world at wrestling at that time. That's very fascinating to me. And I also think that this was the match that we could have actually realistically got. Like, there's the storyline built in with the Bullet Club. I don't really think New Japan was really a threat to WWE, so if Vince wanted to, he could have made it happen. And also around that time, they already had the goodwill by Shinsuke Nakamura was signed already, right?
Oh, yeah. At this point, this is the year that Nakamura would win the Royal Rumble and face AJ Styles at WrestleMania, so
he could have worked with them if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And then, so your number one choice, Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, the way you described it, the crowd, yeah, that has to be number one. And love it or hate it, crowds do make something feel more special. And the way that the crowds would be reacting with these two would tell you, like, hey, these are the two best wrestlers in the world. These are the two most popular wrestlers in the world. Everyone's on the edge of their seat to see who wins. This isn't a champion face champion match just to sell you on something. But Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, the way you're describing how these crowds would be behind both of them, yeah, you want to tune in to see that champion face championship match. I wanted to ask if you think it would feel like John Cena face CM Punk. That's like something I was thinking when I was listening to you describe Dusty face Hogan.
Well, I mean, that crowd from the Money in the Bank 2011, John Cena and CM Punk, that's almost like the crowd energy you would get, but probably turned up to like 11, like way higher. If you go back and watch old, like 86, 87, whatever, I think 86 is what I said here for that Hogan, and just the way, especially in Madison Square Garden, like I recently watched on one of the WWE vaults, he was wrestling, I believe it was Don Morocco in Madison Square Garden, and he came out, and right before they locked up, he just stopped and looked at the crowd, and you saw a wave of people get up. And it was like, I don't know how to describe it, almost like they were with him, like he, they were a part of him. They were Hulkamaniacs, essentially. So I don't know a match or anything that I could really compare it to, especially if you throw in Dusty Rhodes on top of it. Like, those are two guys that the people loved and believed in 100%. So, I mean, the emotions and the feelings and the buzz and all that in the crowd would have been insane.
Dusty's another guy that, like Bret Hart gave Hogan the props, where it was like this guy just knew how to read an audience. Dusty could do that as well.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite things with Dusty is when he was doing the promo where he was trying to get Dustin Rhodes, his son, to team up with him at WCW, and he was giving him the, I don't need a handshake, I need a hug from my son, whatever, a hug and a kiss from my son.
Oh, fuck, wait a minute. So did Cody steal the I need my brother from his dad?
Yeah, pretty much every good Cody promo is a ripoff of the Dusty promo, but we can get into that later. But at one point, he says something and the crowd starts to cheer, and Dusty holds his hand up to stop him, and they just all fall silent. It's like literally he was holding the crowd in the palm of his hands. Stuff like that is like, that gives me goosebumps, is that somebody can control a crowd of people like that, and that they were hanging on to every word he said. And that's the promos building up to Hogan and Dusty would have been phenomenal. And then once you got in that building and felt that electricity in the air, and those two dudes clash, it would have been incredible.
So that's our list. In the comments, let us know some champion face champion matches you wish we would have got.
That's another round of Two Views Wrestling with Tim and Greg. If you like the show, hit follow and share it with a fellow fan. Got a hot take or match request? Send it in. Until next time.